Welcome back to the Mid-Year YouTube channel. In today's episode, we're continuing to work on the Field Find split window. I'm going to show you how to take apart your firewall, get all the fiberglass off the front of your birdcage. So be sure to stick around. Also, if you're new to the YouTube channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps my channel. So here's the cowl for the Field Find car. And it's in pretty good shape, but it needs to be torn apart. All the fiberglass has to come off of it so I can replace this rocker and actually this part right there. It's missing part of the hinge pillar completely, so I gotta either put a new pillar on it or scab a piece on the bottom and then put a rocker on it. But to do that, both of these fiberglass caps need to come off. This little piece of the front end needs to come off so that way I can expose the firewall bonding strip, get the firewall off, and then we can start fixing the rust on this thing. So I got both hinge pillars off the car, and I was able to save both of these bonding strips, which is a plus. So I just had to, it was easy to get these rivets off back here, and just had to work a chisel up here to kind of break this free. And there's a little bit of a bonding line here and some other sealants in there, so that came off. This one was a little bit more of a struggle. I had to really tear this side up because there were previous repairs done on this side. So this car must have had somewhat of a rough life. But interestingly enough, I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but right there, there's a little, you can see it there, there's a little bump. So this is an original bump that I think mostly all Corvettes, C2 Corvettes should have right here. I don't know if there's just a little defect in the mold, but there's always this little scab looking bump here. And you can tell when a car's been sanded or not, or been painted, because a lot of times if they'll have a front end put on it, you go to blend this area in and you'll just sand this guy right off where you strip the paint. So that's kind of cool that this still has the bump. So I may end up trying to save this piece, at least for a reference to know what the bump looks like. So now I'm gonna finish chasing this piece off the whole way around here, the whole way around there, pull off this piece, and then we're gonna try to get the front end, or the firewall off of the cowl so it bonds in the same area here. All right, so I got the cowl off of the firewall for this Field Find car, and the firewall and everything's in pretty good shape. So I'm happy with that. I really didn't damage the bonding strips taking it off, except for this one little spot. I can graft that piece back in, but overall this looks good. This side's not twisted. Z-bar is nice and straight. The windshield frame looks nice and solid. The only problem is someone just took a torch whenever this thing was wrecked, and they just hacked off this corner. So I have this guy over here. I'm no expert, but I think I figured out why this car is not in one piece anymore. I mean, you know, these are supposed to be in line, and this is supposed to be nice and straight, and it's not. So this thing must have either been rolled over or someone must have crushed it like right here. So I don't know if that person made it out of this one alive or not, but I could just cut this pillar off. It's a little twisted. It's got a little bit of a twist in it. I could cut this pillar off or use this whole pillar on that car, but what I'm gonna do is I like to try to save everything I can. This rocker is shot, but that pillar is good. This one can be straightened out. So I'm not just gonna cut this one in half because that's really nice. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some tape and I'm gonna cover this and make templates with it. And you can see that it's from right about here down is where I have to make it. So I'll make a template. This is multiple pieces. There's this little piece in here. There's this outer part. There's this inner part of the tower. And then this guy wraps the whole way around. And then it's got this little fancy detail on here. So I think it's cut off like right here. So all that detail is missing. So I'm gonna have to make this, make these bottom pieces, make this little bracket. But this is all stuff I did on the Misfit. I never had to make it this far up. I made it from about here down. So just going a little further up. In the next video, I'm gonna work on making the tape templates for the bottom of this pillar to repair this pillar. And then I'm gonna make it all out of sheet metal, weld it all together, get it all fit, and get this guy removed off so that way this cowl is ready to go onto the jig whenever I make it. But that's gonna do it for this video. Next video is gonna be on a lot of metal work on the cowl, the bird cage, that hopefully we'll be able to jump onto the back of the bird cage, get that guy straightened out and start working on some metal work on that. Hopefully this weekend or next week we'll pick up that C2 coupe bird cage, and that'll live right here. I'm gonna borrow a buddy's Corvette frame that I'll put on top of that and use it as a frame jig. We'll start building a jig of that bird cage. That way, whenever all these pieces are done, we'll just be able to set them in the jig, get everything clamped up, tweak whatever we have to tweak, test fit the doors, and then final weld everything together. So if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. I have a lot more videos coming up on wrecked Corvettes you're not going to want to miss, and I have a lot of work to do. So I'll catch you guys later. Here's a couple of tools that I like to use whenever I'm taking apart fiberglass. I normally just used a putty knife, and then I'd step it up to different chisels to try to put some pressure in the panel and get it to come apart. But I recently started using these wood chisels. My dad suggested using them, and they work really well. So as long as you aim, because they're nice and sharp and they do flare out, so as long as you aim for the bonding adhesive, whenever you hit that, most of the time it either separates or it kind of explodes. As long as it's like the original style, it'll just pop right apart, and you can just kind of chase it right down. If you need to add some pressure, I put a thicker chisel in there, and then whenever you hit it with this, then it'll really spread apart.